The questions we explore as economists relate to the most pressing social and economic issues, whether that be about climate change, health, education, or the cost of living.
I've had a pretty interesting career as an economist so far. During my first year as an economist, there was a global pandemic, and because of that, I got exposure to a lot of pressing and really interesting issues. And one that I found most rewarding was work I did with the International Monetary Fund, looking at how they were designing financial support for low-income countries that were suffering at the onset of the pandemic.
One of the most interesting things that I've been able to work on as an economist in my career so far is the response of governments to the war in Ukraine and the energy price crisis that followed. So that involved looking at a whole bunch of government policies across different countries, so things like income subsidies, taxing energy company profits, public transport subsidies, and also the long-term impacts of that on investment in new energy sources and renewables.
Economists are always trying to find more timely data so we can find out what economic conditions are in the current moment. So we might not receive inflation data from December till February, and this can create issues when we're trying to forecast future conditions. To solve this issue, the bank runs a business liaison program where staff from all over Australia go out and talk to businesses, no matter how big or how small, to find out how the economy is going here and now. One of the issues I tried to tackle was incorporating this more timely data about the economy from these businesses into the bank's forecasting models to see if it would improve forecasting performance.
I think one of the most interesting economic issues that I've had to tackle in my career so far was understanding trends in banknote counterfeiting. So the Reserve Bank of Australia is responsible for issuing Australia's official banknotes. But sometimes people can make replicas of these and try pass these in the community. So I got to try answer a bunch of interesting questions, such as, can we predict the number of counterfeits that are going to show up? Does banknote counterfeiting get reduced when we have more notes in circulation with better security features? And what happens to banknote counterfeiting when we live in a world where we use banknotes less?
One really rewarding project I've had the opportunity to work on as an economist was a project on a key social issue of housing affordability. With this project, I worked with a number of other economists to perform research and analysis, which was used to produce a submission to Parliament. This report was then used by Parliament to improve their understanding of housing affordability and was also an input into the policy-making process.
So one of the cool things that I've worked on relates to something that all of us are doing on the daily, and that's making payments. So you might be thinking, how does that relate to economics? Well, it turns out that when you make a payment at the terminal, so say you take out your debit card or your mobile wallet and you make that payment, something so simple actually has a lot of interesting issues about competition and efficiency behind the scenes.
The variety of problems you get to work on in economics makes it a really rewarding and enjoyable area to be in. So given that economics is a toolkit or a framework, it means you can go and apply that to a whole host of problems, which keeps things super interesting because you're not necessarily tied to one area.